Hello, and welcome to the More Cheese Less Whiskers podcast. My name's Dean Jackson, and today we're talking with Dr. Stephanie Estima from Toronto, and we had a really great conversation. Stephanie is a doctor of chiropractic officially, but she helps people with optimal performance, and she takes an amazing approach that focuses on your brain first, not your mind and not your thinking, but your actual brain, to optimize your brain, because that's what everything else is in place to support anyway. It's a pretty cool approach. She's kind of taken a doubling down, as she calls it, approach to focusing on patient care. And it shows in her retention rates, in the results that she's able to get with people. So we had a really great conversation about what an advantage it is that she's got that part of her equation really dialed in, that people love her and she's able to get amazing results for them. And we talked about the after unit, where we could really take some opportunities to orchestrate referrals and really see that, man, there's so much opportunity there that the before unit almost will take care of itself if we focus just on nurturing some of these relationships and orchestrating referrals, not just letting referrals happen, but orchestrating them. So I really enjoyed this. It went fast, and I think you're going to enjoy it too. So here we go.
Dr. Stephanie Estima.
Hi, Dean.
How are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I am super excited. I just got a massage, so I am fully limber.
Amazing.
I've done my calisthenics to get myself ready. I have my evil scheming notebook right here with me.
Do you have your essential oils?
Prepared. I don't have any essential oils. I left that at home. I would be otherwise fully prepared. So I'm really excited because this is one of the rarer times that I get to do an episode with somebody that I know. So this is kind of exciting. I have the advantage of knowing a little bit of the backstory, but what would be really helpful is if you kind of tell me the story like I don't know the story, so that we can catch everybody up to the present day. And then we can jump off and talk about whatever you want to get some focus and help on.
Awesome. Yeah. So I've been in practice for 16 years. I've had, I'm in my 16th year right now, and I run a clinic in downtown Toronto called the Health Loft. And the goal of the Health Loft, like the reason why it exists, is really to provide an absolutely stellar service. I want it to be an experience like nobody has ever experienced. And, you know, myself and I have an associate doctor who works with me, we are classically trained as chiropractors. So we are a wellness clinic, but we take a particular focus in the neurological model of healing. So my big idea, if you will, is that, and I've spoken about this on stages and have talked about it briefly with you as well, is that the brain needs to be healthy first before anything else can happen. So you can have, you can do all the rehab that you want, but if your structure isn't right, you're wasting your time, your energy, your money, and your focus. So I run a clinic.
That was kind of amazing to me, because you get it. You have to really, I want to underline the point that you're talking about the actual physical organ of your brain, not your mind, not your reason why, not all of that stuff, the actual physiological part of it. And that was kind of an interesting insight to me, that I'd never really heard anybody kind of take that approach. So
I mean, we don't think about like totally. Like, and to your point, Dean, like a lot of us will think about, you know, the aesthetics of things. Like we say, oh, we want to look great naked, or, you know, we want to be healthy, so let's heal our hormones. And those things are all, you know, nutrition and fitness. I mean, those are big passions of mine as well. And those are all, you know, healthy pursuits, absolutely. But, if you're signaling, if the descending pathways in the brain are not there, or the afferents, meaning that the signal's coming up from the body, there's a dissociation there. Like it's like the four precious resources that we have, time, energy, focus, and money, are being wasted because you have to get the brain right first. And we don't think about the brain, right? We are the brain. So it's an important kind of rework or reframe for people when we're talking about an approach to healing that's potentially different than what they've heard in the past.
And so how does that actually manifest itself? Like, how do you start or, a protocol for somebody, or what's your kind of come from?
So a typical onboarding of a patient in our practice there's a kind of a 2-day process. So the first day is really all about the patient. We are really just trying to extract as much information that we can about their present life, about their, where they've been, where they are now, and then, what are their dreams and goals? Like, where do they want to go? So it's really kind of a snapshot in time. We want to look at the past, the present, and the future. And then there's a lot of, I know functional medicine is a big buzzword now. We do something called, I like to call it functional neurology. So it's really looking at real-time, the real-time presentation or the real-time feedback that the brain has to the body. So like a really easy example of that would be I'll have patients close their eyes and shake their head like they're saying no. And then I'll have them shake their head like they're saying yes. And then while maintaining and while keeping their eyes closed, I'll say, okay, bring your head back to where you think center is. So what ends up happening is when we take out vision, which is like a super important sense, right? It gives us so much information about our external environment. Yeah. But when we take it away, now what you're relying on, especially with a head shake, like whether it's a nod or a shake no, you're relying on the feedback from the joints telling the brain where you are in space, something that we call proprioception. So you're relying on the proprioceptive input from the neck joints. And if there's something, let's say there's faulty mechanics or there's a faulty flexibility, range of motion, like some sort of mechanics are off in the neck, it's going to send the wrong information to the brain, and you're not going to be able to find center. It's kind of like the way that I kind of explain it to people is that when we think about the brain, I always like to think about like the brain is like your cell phone and the spine is like your Wi-Fi signal, right? If your Wi-Fi signal is weak, your phone's not going to work the way that it does, like it should, right? It's going to have to fill in the blanks. You'll see like the spinning wheel of death that sometimes you see on your iPhone or whatever, right?
We want to get full bars.
We want to have full signal, full communication so that you can load your pages faster, right? Yeah.
How far off have you seen somebody be from actual center?
I'm very sad to report that it happens all the time. Like I would probably say if we have like 20 patients, 18 or 19 patients don't find it on their first, on that first day, on that first test. Yeah. And then there's a process that there's a kind of a process that I've developed where there's almost like a 3-month sort of protocol that we take them through where there's check-ins at every, there's examinations that we build in. But by the end of that 3 months, you better believe that my batting average is pretty good there. So people are able to find center at the end of it. And that's just that's sort of one of the, one of the checks that we do. Yeah, there's a bunch of other ones as well.
Awesome. Okay, so we got a general idea of what you do. Now, I'm anxious to hear about the marketing of it, or the growth of it, or the strategy for it, and how we can kind of help you with that.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'm really excited to talk to you too, because you are the man. You are the person on the planet that I think has the most unique insight and the most, brain juice, if you will, like brain power, to kind of help me solving my problems.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
So when I look at my business, I have one main maybe two main bottlenecks. So I have double and triple down on patient experience. So when you look at our when we talk about this in terms of sales, like my close rates for initial, like someone that comes in to see me on a day one, then on the day two, there's what we call the report. So we're really telling the patient where they were good, where they were not good, and how we are the unique solution to their problem. So on that day two, I have a 91% close rate, and what that means is that someone will say, yes, I'm, this is the care plan that I want to be on, and I'm signing up with you for the next 3 months of care. And then after that 3 months of care, there's another formal reexamination where we will do a lot of the benchmark testing that we did when they first came in. And on that, I guess in sales terms, maybe you call it second money, or, like their first formal reevaluation, my close rate there is around 87%. So once they're in my office,
is that for another 3 months or for an ongoing care?
Thank you for asking that. Yeah, so the first 3 months, like the first part of that care plan is for 3 months of care. And then my goal obviously is I don't want people to be coming to see me 3 times a week forever. So when we want to be able to give them strategies and hacks and tools so that they're more self-reliant and more self-healing. So that second re-up, if you will, or that first re-up is it's less frequency of care. So let's say someone was coming to see me 3 times a week in the first phase of care. The second phase of care would be, once a week, maybe once every other week. And then that will usually run for another 12, let me do the math here. Sorry, it will run for another 24 visits. So 24 visits is about 6 months of care. If they're coming weekly, and if they're coming every other week, then it's another year of care. So it's for the frequency is less. The cost, we also give them a break on the cost because they've been seeing us at for 3 months at a pretty intensive intense frequency and stuff. So my close rate there is 87.
Okay.
So I'm always I'm hyper obsessed with tweaking. So there's always things that I can do. I want to try to find ways to automate, how we gift and how we ask for referrals and all of that.
Right.
But my big bottleneck really comes in the beginning of care where I don't have enough bodies in front of me.
You don't have a lead in. Okay. And so one more question then about after that second round of 6 or 12 months, what happens then?
It's another sit-down conversation.
Are you just of the thing that somebody is basically, they don't need to be on an ongoing program with you, or do you have people who just indefinitely continue on seeing you once or twice a month or whatever?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think that's really a conversation that the patient and I will kind of talk about. It really depends on, and it's just a crappy answer, but it depends on what they're kind of showing up with. They may have new goals at that point, right? So they may have come in, and Giovanni, my partner, and I, we are obsessed with superheroes. So my philosophy around care is when they come in, they're kind of subhuman, right? They're in pain, they're not working well, or there's something wrong. My job in that 3 months is to get them to human. And then after, they're working the way that they should, we have a curve in the neck, or we have proper range of motion in the low back, or whatever it is. Then that point is to really work on becoming superhuman. So that really depends on the goals and the dreams and the, that the patient has. So my philosophy, if you were to ask me, I was just adjusted today. I'm actually sitting at my front desk right now at the office. If you were to ask me, if today was your last adjustment, how do you feel about that? I would cry, because for me, if you have a spine and you have a nervous system, you should be getting adjusted. But for some people, you have to kind of meet people where they are, right? If someone doesn't want to continue care, then, I'm going to love them out the door. It's fine.
Right, because part of the reason that I asked all those questions about the ongoing stuff is that, as you know, we kind of break a business into 3 divisions: the before unit, the during unit, and the after unit. And what you're really masterful at is the during unit, in that you have that's where the client experience is. That's where everything is happening, right? And that's where you can have the biggest impact. It's where you're actually delivering the care. And then in the after unit, that would be all the sort of ongoing things, building a lifetime relationship with people and orchestrating referrals. And so all these things are universally present in every business, but the metrics and the way that we draw the lines of where the division is between the during unit and the after unit, like where does somebody cross the line into the after unit? And so I'm imagining that after that 6 or 12 months of care, some percentage of people just continue on coming back to you, or they come back on an as needed basis, or that it's not, you're dead to me, that they're part of your world, that you're the you're their go-to, that's they're part of your family there. Now, what we look for in that is to measure the return on relationship, we call it, in the after unit. I'm going to start with the after unit just because I know we can do all kinds of cool stuff in the before unit for you, getting people to you. But I want to kind of just get the lines drawn here. You've got a really kind of perfect thing in that if I were overlaying this process here, I would consider your 3-month program to be your after, your during unit, but that's the one that your signature kind of setting the table kind of program to get somebody, as you would say, human, and making a big difference for them in that 3 months. And then where they graduate from that, I would consider those people into the after unit then. And when I look at it, I'm looking for, if we took all of the revenue from your practice and we were to divide it accordingly among, attribution for the before unit and attribution for the after unit of where it came from, what really is helpful is to understand how much of your business is actually coming from what would be your after unit, meaning people who have already gone through the initial 3-month program. And I mean, I know I've kind of hit you with these things, so I'm not expecting that you've done the analysis, but just anecdotally, and if we were kind of with your best understanding of your business, looking at your day sheet or your calendar is where it would manifest. How much of your business or your days are spent with people who are under that definition in your after unit?
Hope you don't expect an answer right now.
No, I mean, just if you were to say, just intuitively, what would you? Yeah, if you were to just say, like, did you work today?
I did, yeah.
And so, how many people did you see today?
Oh, I don't know. I want to say 35-ish.
Okay, so that's a good snapshot. This is a really good. Was today a typical day?
Yeah, it's a little, like, August is a little slow. Like we find that August is a little
but you
slower.
Don't. What I'm meaning by that is you don't. It's not like you have like new patients only on Thursdays and
no,
that kind of thing. So every day is like kind of a mix of everything.
That's
so
right.
If we were to think about the 30 odd people that you saw today, how many of them would be in what we would consider the after unit here? People who are at least that.
Yeah, I'd probably say somewhere between 7 and 10 people.
Okay. So that means then that 20 plus of them were in their first 3 months of treatment.
Right.
Okay. And do you think that that's pretty standard? Do you think that's pretty common? If we were to take other days, that would be about right?
I'd probably say that the people in the after unit, there's probably a few more, because they don't take as much time as somebody who is, kind of coming in. They have a lot more questions and all that.
Yeah.
I do find that as we are defining it as the after unit, I'd probably say like a typical day would probably be closer to maybe half, like maybe even half and half, like 15 and 15, something like that. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. And that's the reason that it's good to know that, just to give you a sense of it, that we're, the opportunities that we have to, kind of moving forward here is to maximize what's happening in the after unit. I mean, you're getting an incredible, you're getting an incredible conversion that 87% of the people that do the 3 months with you will continue on. And so that what we don't really know or have a sense of is what percentage, if there's a drop off after that next 6 months of people continuing, or that they just kind of go into a maintenance program. And those would be all kind of valuable things for you to know, because that's one portion of your after unit revenue, is nurturing lifetime relationships with your clients. And that can take the form of having a longer relationship with them, doing additional things for them, or offering, new and more varied services. There's lots of strategies for growing the after unit, just serving the people that you have. And that could be as simple as all additional things like you're talking about. I know you have essential oils, and I'm sure that if I remember, do you have supplements and things that you are
we have supplements
offering to people?
Yeah, we have supplements that we build into the, is it the middle unit? Is that what you're calling it?
The during unit, yep.
The during unit. So we have the supplements there. Another offering that we do have is a nutritional program, like it's an online virtual 28-day program that people can go through. So that may be something that we can add into the after unit as well. Like once we have your mobility and your mechanics and your, kind of nervous system back online, then now we can start working on some of the other pillars of health. That's
great. And then the other thing that we look at in both in the during unit and the after unit is referrals, is orchestrating referrals. And when you look at where the new people come from, what percentage of the people that come in are referred by somebody else? That's kind of one way of looking at it. But the other thing we look at is, what is your return on relationship percentage? So if we take the number of people that you have who we would qualify as, being in your after unit, and the number of people in your during unit, but we just count them differently, the referrals, that how many of them referred somebody to you, in the last 12 months, let's say. That's a measure that we look at to figure out your return on relationship. And we do it as a percentage. So if we say, how many patients would you have that you would say, just ballpark, would be in your either in your after unit or in your during unit right now?
Probably Oh man. I wish I had known these numbers before. Let's just for ease of numbers.
Okay.
Let's call it 150 in the during and maybe 100 in the after unit.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that the other thing is like what would also go into your after unit is all the people who have gone through your after, but your during and after unit, but are just not on a program right now. I'm
right.
sure that you have people who are
yeah.
inactive clients, right? That are sort of that are those. How many people do you think that would be if we counted? In the old days, patients would have that back wall of all the color-coded files, right, of all of your things. But how many patient records do you have that have come and had any level of that have gone through your during unit?
Oh, yeah, we're talking about probably in the tens of thousands at this point. Like I've been in practice for 15 years, so.
Okay, right on.
Yeah.
Even if we took what would you say would be the modern day version of what you're doing? Have you been doing it this way for 15 years?
No, maybe the modern day version would be like maybe 2 years old. So
yeah,
like we'll call it 2 years old because we had a big fire here, so I had to like in my original place, so I had to like rebuild up to the current place where it is. So if I had like how many patients I've seen since 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I'd probably say somewhere between if I had like around 10 new patients per week, talking about maybe 500 a year. So like 1,000 in the past 2 years.
Okay. Perfect. So this is the perfect thing here, right? That when we look at it, that we're looking that is there any reason why somebody, and I don't know where you fall on this, but do you think it would be, is there any reason why somebody would go for an entire year without seeing you at all? Would you even recommend that to somebody?
An entire year? No. Like probably if people are thinking about when we're playing the long game with people's health, like the longest I would really want, in an ideal world, the longest I'd want people to go without an adjustment would be like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm saying this with love, but we're letting down about a lot of people, right? We're letting them down that if you have, just by your estimation, and you may be off on your numbers there, but it seems like the biggest number that you shared with me are people who have gone through treatment and are not still getting treatment. So that I look at as an opportunity first, right? That you have to take it on you to advocate for them, right? That if I'm one of those 2,000 people that has seen you, or 1,000 people or whatever in the last couple of years, that have seen you and am not coming back right now, what level of communication do you have with me? How do you communicate with the people in your after unit right now?
Yeah, we don't have much of there's no standardization with that.
Okay.
So right now, the most formal that we have is an email that goes out probably at least once every other week, and it's usually if I've written a new article that I've posted on wherever I've posted it, Medium, Thrive. We will let people know, hey, here's like a new article for you to because we're always trying to educate people, so this is just like a way that we drip that. But that's about as formal and about as standard as we've gotten it. There's no formal how you doing? Like, do you want to come back into care? Like, there's nothing like that. Yeah.
No acknowledgement of even sending somebody a thing. It's time for your 6 month checkup like the dentist would do, or the eye doctor, or
Right. No, there's
whatever.
none of that.
No invitation that acknowledges that you are one of my patients. And it sounds like that email, does that go out to everybody, whether like before unit, during unit, after unit, everybody on the list get that email? Okay. And that's the most common thing. I mean, that's really the way people think about it, is that they have a list and we're not demarking any differentiation in there, right? It's just, we're not treating the people who are unconverted prospects differently than we're treating people who came to you for a 3-month program, converted to a 12-month program, and then didn't come back, right? Or graduated from a 3-month program, did a 6-month program, and then didn't come back. We're not making any distinctions in the way we communicate with those people. Right.
Yeah.
And so
not segmenting them. No.
Just the awareness of that is really going to help.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what would you say, like, out of these, the 250 active clients that you have right now, the ones that are like in care programs, how many of them refer?
That seems low. Yes. Sorry.
It probably is low. It does seem low from what you're.
Yeah, that number is like in terms of active patients. Like I actually think it's about double that. So that's okay. Let's just use the numbers that we started with. So out of those active clients.
Yeah, out of the active clients, when we look at the during unit, let's just say the people who are in their first 3 months, the core objective for those people is to reach the goal of the 3-month program, of what it is that you're trying to help them with, to get them so that they get the result, and that they're happy enough that 87% of them are going to go on and have the extended care. And you're doing a great job on that, because that's been your focus, and you do great work, and you get great results, and people rave about it. And that shows in the fact that 87% of them want to continue on. Now, that is the core objective. Now, what we also have are strategic opportunities there, right? Like, so all the ancillary things that you're doing, all the things that are enhancements to that, whether it's the supplements or the essential oils or a nutrition program, or all of those things, we measure in addition to that as the strategic goals that we have there, And I don't know whether you sort of track and look at that as a metric, or whether you are whether that commercializes it too much, that it's not about the revenue opportunity of it, that you're only recommending those things purely from the efficacy or the treatment calls for them.
Yeah, I think that for things like the strategic, like the enhancements that you were mentioning, specifically with supplements, there is a recommendation in the during unit right at the beginning for them to take a certain amount of supplements, or certain types of supplements based on whatever they're presenting with. And we check in, like in that 3-month, in that during unit, there are 3 checkpoints where we reevaluate the patient. So one of the questions that's asked during that during unit is, did you get your supplements? And if it's a no, then what we have set up basically at the front is like an iPad with the the supplement, like where we where they can just like purchase the supplements, and it's like drop shipped to them or the clinic, whatever they want. So that is how we track specifically with the supplements.
Okay. And those are great, that when you look at it, that if you're looking at the, and we're taking now we're balancing your care protocols, right? What you're doing to really focus on what's the best thing for getting the result for somebody. And we're coupling that now with, from a marketing perspective, of adding some sort of marketing metrics to it to look at the business opportunity within it. And I'm sensitive to making sure that what you're doing is leaning on the care part of it, not that we're doing something just for the revenue of it. And I think that's where you're coming from too, that when you're recommending the supplements of it, it's not to get somebody on your auto dropship program. It's because you as a doctor, are that this is the best thing for them. And
right.
that is the highest kind of integrity that I think you have for your patients. So that's just now looking at it, though, that we have to, and you notice when I was talking about the after unit, that I look at the fact that there are so many people who are not getting care, that we have to take it on, that we're just from it almost becomes a moral thing in a way, that we're failing
right.
those people, right?
Yeah.
That we're failing, that they're not getting the care that that they need, right? So we need to take that on us and be more invested in making sure that they're actually getting the best outcome that they possibly can, and advocating for that for them on their behalf, not on, and they can tell the difference when it's literally just you're trying to get them on some auto ship program. Your real attention to the relationship in the patient experience is going to really gives you the latitude to kind of have that kind of conversation with them. And so now we can measure it, though, and we can do things that are going to measure how effective we are at conveying the importance of that message to people. So I would look at it as kind of a goal keeping kind of mechanism for us, to know that they're going to have a better experience if they're getting the proper supplementation, and that it would be a good metric for us to know that 86% of the people who go through the treatment are compliant with the supplement protocol.
Yeah, and I love what you're saying, because I think sometimes I double down and triple down and quadruple down on the during unit, right? Like, I've created, like, I have an active campaign. I've created like a drip sequence over 3 months for the people under active care, but I haven't done that for my after unit. And then I'm sure we're going to get into the before unit as well. So I love I agree with you. I think this is a huge opportunity for me to be, not letting people down, as you said, and making sure that the messaging there is that I'm invested in getting them the best result, because that's just who we are. Like, that's what the Health Law stands for.
Yeah, and that's it. And I think that on a subconscious level, in some ways, sometimes when people are, really walking that line of being a practitioner, of being a caregiver, that there's, even on a subconscious level, that you don't want to even have the appearance of it being just a money grab to get somebody on the supplementation. So so saying it in that way, we have to first of all get to the point that your core belief about it is that they're going to be better off, and then we need to express that to people, right? So that you're doing it in a way that compels them to follow the protocol, for the best result. And the metrics back it up. That you're not recommending a supplement that's not going to have a measurable, outcome for them. And that's really where it can, so that's going to be a great thing. Even just the awareness of it, that's going to really help. And the way that you communicate about it too, right, is going to improve. So then we've got that as the one of the strategic objectives of the During unit. So it raises now on the business side the transactional value of the first 3 months, because if the first 3 months is whatever the care program costs, and then in addition the revenue generated from whatever the ancillary things are, that's going to be a good thing to measure. And then perhaps even the more important one is to measure the referrals that you get before that 90 days is up. And that's an interesting thing that we talk, a lot of times people think about referrals as a reward for doing a good job, and they wait until after the service has been provided and then ask for the referrals, almost as, did we do a good job? Do you feel like we were helpful? And then asking them to refer somebody as if it's a favor to you. And the reality is that that's not how referrals work, right? The only reason that we refer anything is because it makes us feel good, right? And so when you tap into that, we want to refer things. We're constantly referring, if you take it down to a social level, we're constantly introducing new things to those that we care about, from this new movie, this new restaurant, this new podcast, this new book, this new service provider, whoever it is. Wherever you have great experiences, you're spreading the word because you feel good about it and you want your friends to get that good thing too. Just like we spread bad news or warnings about things, right? Oh, don't go there. That place is no good. Or, oh, that movie was so bad I walked out, or I couldn't even read this book. We're constantly on the lookout for adding value to our friends and protecting them from bad experiences, right? So we're wired to do this. It goes all the way back from an evolutionary psychology standpoint. It goes all the way back to when we were in tribes of 150 people, right? That we would be on the lookout. So if I was out on the trail and I'm coming back to camp and I'm telling you, hey, Stephanie, there's a bountiful blueberry bush just over that hill there. I'm coming back with my arms full of blueberries. I've done a good thing, right? I'm telling you, go over there and get some more blueberries because everybody's going to benefit from that. And then you feel like you need to add value to me. So you may tell me, well, watch out because behind those bushes, I saw a tiger on the way over here. So you're protecting me from now this bad thing that could happen. And we're balancing that out. And that was the way we survived as a species, right? So this goes really deep into why we're doing it. We don't need to incentivize people to do it or do anything. If we just tap into our evolutionarily wired in desire to do it, we can now kind of relax and just understand how it actually happens. And how referrals actually happen is through conversation. So when somebody's in care with you, they're going to be the most aware of it, your most infrequent conversation with them. They're most involved in it. It's on their schedule, maybe a couple of times a week, right? If they're in that first, so they're talking about it. If they're starting to feel good, they're going to be talking about it, and we want to equip people with what to do when they hear people talking about any of the things that could be a good candidate for a new patient for you. So you see people for a lot of different presenting causes, right? That they may come to you and they've got some list of issues that they have or some list of things that they're trying to resolve, right? And what would be some of the most common reasons that people come to you? What would they be presenting with?
It's usually they're concerned that their posture is changing, or there's some sort of symptomatic presentation that's already happened. So it can be, they're experiencing headaches, or they're experiencing low back pain or neck pain, shoulder pain, that kind of thing. Those are like the top, 3. Yeah.
Yep. And so when you look at this now, this is how we want to kind of position this, that do you think that the people who are both in your during and your after you, the people who know you, that you have them under care, do you think that they are in conversations on a daily or weekly basis that might involve one of those big 3 or 4?
Oh, for sure. Even if it's just at the workplace, right? Because everyone's sitting and
anywhere.
like, oh, my neck, oh, my shoulder. Yeah,
right.
all the time. Yeah.
Yes. So here's what has to happen. That's the raw material. It's already going on. We just need to equip people with what to do when they hear those conversations. Because in order for a referral to take place in those conversations, 3 things have to happen. They have to notice that the conversation is about neck pain or back pain or headaches or whatever it is. They have to think about you, and then they have to introduce you to the person that they had the conversation with. That's how it all fires, right? Now, when you do get referrals, if you think back on the last people who came to you as a referral, they probably walk in your office or they probably call and say, my friend Emily told me that you could help me with my back pain. Can I set up an appointment? That would probably be 80% of the referrals that you get, right? Then the other 20% might be one of your patients comes in, or you're seeing them and they tell you, you know what, I was just talking with my friend Emily about you, and she's been having neck problems. Can I have her call your office to get an appointment? Or what would be the best way to set that up, right? Those are probably the 2 ways that you end up getting referrals. Now,
it's usually the former. I can say that. It's usually people are calling in saying, you helped so-and-so, can you help me too?
Yeah. Passive referrals. That's what I call those, right? That you didn't have to do anything for it. It happened and they come, they just show up. So that is, that's amazing. And that's because you do such a great job in, your focus on your patient experience. That's the reward of doubling, tripling, and quadrupling down on your patient experience, is that your patients have a great experience and they want to talk about it. So you end up getting the referrals that way. But now if we were to layer on top of this, because you're already setting the stage for it, if we were to layer on top of it now an awareness of how it's actually going to happen, and we start instructing people with what to do when they hear those conversations, we're going to see it go up. Because I believe, and I've seen evidence of it, that for every one of those conversations that turns into a client that comes into your office like that says, hey, you helped Emily, then there are probably 3 to 5 more conversations that were going on like that didn't turn into a patient. That you probably have people say to you, oh, I tell people about you all the time. Or,
I do have people say that to me, and I'm like, that's nice.
Of course. Yeah. But they're not telling you about the people that they're telling you about, because you look on your referral roster and you see that, well, nobody has come in because of Emily, So
Right.
that's
Right.
really that's where now, if we instruct them to do the how we want it to work, that they will follow that protocol. So we use something that follows a very consistent pattern, that we send a postcard every month to people. I have a postcard we call the world's most interesting postcard, and it's just interesting, fun facts on the front of the card. There's like 16 different, like, little short, 1 or 2 sentence kind of facts that you would find. And then on the back of the card, we have what looks like a Post-it note graphic with a note that would say, if I were doing this for you, how this might sound is we follow this pattern of, hi, Stephanie, just a quick note in case you hear someone talking about headaches this month, or just if you hear someone talking about headaches. A lot of times headaches can be caused by a misalignment, and it's putting pressure on a nerve or whatever, some light way of describing what's going on there. If you hear someone talking about this, give me a call or text me, and I'll get you a copy of my report or my book or my video or my whatever you have to give to them that will explain how to know when it might be more than a headache, or something like that, whatever the title of a report like that might be.
Right.
So that there's
Genius.
something that your friend, your patient is going to have, because they're concerned about people, right? If people are thinking, they're saying, I keep having these headaches. And if people are constantly having a headache, then, deep in their minds, people are, oh, what if it's a tumor, or something, right? And so they want people to get help. And if it was easy for them to text you and you get an article, a link to an article or a video that they can text to their friend, they get to look like the hero, right? They get to look like the caring, loving friend who's concerned about their well-being that they really are, right? We're not saying to people, tell people about me, right? We're not saying, make sure you tell people about us, or don't keep us a secret, or any of those things that are making us the focus of it. We're being helpful and giving them the equipping them to give their friend a benefit that comes from them.
So they get to be the hero versus like,
They
come
get
and
to be
I'll
the hero.
save them. They're the hero.
Right.
I love that.
They're
genius.
the hero.
Yeah.
And that way, that now, because it's, if everybody, you think about it, we're in a cell phone, smartphone world right now. And if you can program it that whenever somebody is in a conversation and they hear they hear somebody talking about they've got a headache, or they've got neck pain, or they've got back pain, or they've put their back in the spasm, or they're, even if you think about some of the outlier type of things, right, adjacent to the big 5 symptoms that people might present with, that would also be things for that you could help people with. If they know that whenever they hear people talking about that, they can just text you and you're going to get them something to give to them. Now you know that they've been having a conversation with somebody who's having a headache.
Right.
And it's much easier for you now to brainstorm with them how to get connected with them so that they can get the help that they really need, without doing it to, not saying, hey, tell people about us so that they can call us. We want to lower the bar to make it so that they tell you about the people that they're having these conversations with. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. I saw sharing with somebody that I had something that was both alarming and amazing at the same time happen a couple of months ago. That I have a community for real estate agents, and in our forum, somebody posted up, does anybody know where I could get carpet installed today? We have a closing tomorrow and it needs to be done today. And without my permission and without my conscious thought, my brain immediately started singing 800-588-2300 Empire.
Empire.
And I
without your
realized
permission.
at that moment that had been smuggled into my brain without my permission and
Right.
had been living there rent-free for 20 plus years, just waiting to be triggered by somebody saying, where do you get same-day carpeting? Same-day carpeting? Same-day carpeting? 800-588. So this programming is what we're doing with each month, sending a postcard that says, just a quick note in case you hear someone talking about insert high probability conversation here. Mm-hmm. Here's why you might hear that now. And if you hear someone talking about that, give me a call or text me and I'll get you this valuable thing that you can give to them. That's the pattern that we're doing. And we dress it up a little more, right, with more words and more context. But every month it's the same pattern, the same thing, so that we're getting people used to listening for and paying attention to the conversations that they're part of.
Amazing, Dean. I love it.
And that's a really easy way to get more, your referral rate will go up. Now, the only way we're going to know that it goes up is if we know what it is right now.
Yeah, so my referral rate right now is about 70%. Everything else comes from an organic, chiropractor near me, kind of Google traffic. Yeah. But I don't have, to your point earlier when you were saying, are the referrals coming before the during unit is up? That I don't know.
Right.
But I do know that my total, when I look at the total pool of new patients, about 70% of them are coming from people within the practice, whether they're in the during unit or they're in the after unit.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. I mean, it's the same psychology, but we've just got, I think we programmed them from the beginning in that first 90 days that there's, lots of opportunities there. And we start to think, how could we get somebody introduced to this? I don't know whether you do, now you start to strategize and you start to think, once we know what the metric is and we know what the objective is, now we can start brainstorming and innovating on how can we raise that number, or where is it the easiest way for that to happen, And all of that really, can be that's kind of like the baseline. That's all low hanging fruit for you because you've invested the proper energy that you've done in, I love your words of doubling and tripling down on the patient experience, that's the barrier to entry, that's you get to get the rewards of that. And that is the first thing. It's much easier to grow with the people who already are experiencing this than to find new people.
And when you're sending out Yep.
But we also can find new people. But you were saying when you're sending out.
Oh, I was just going to say, do you segment the world's most interesting postcard? Do you segment to the people that are in the during unit?
You can, absolutely. And you may segment that strategy. No, I may do something. I may do other things to that, and maybe do that, introduce that in the after unit as a isolated thing. But certainly for sure in the after unit, that if you look at it, that somebody who's, going through that care, we may do other things in that first 3 months, because the real value of it is going to come month after month after month, that you're still there. You're still there. They're still in your care. That's the thought that they'll have when you continue it with them in the after unit.
Love it. And I love doing that in the after unit as well, because there's already rapport and trust that's built with the patient. They've already seen the results that have happened, and it's really easy for them. You're just giving them the tools on how to introduce the person to me. Yeah.
That's exactly right. Mm-hmm. And so we get to do it in person. In the throughout the during unit, we can orchestrate. There'll be some unique opportunities that we have in the during unit to make that happen as well.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm. But I think those are cool. But now I want to. All that said, I still want to talk about the before unit stuff for you. If you've got a little more time, we can go a little longer.
I got all the time in the world for you. Yes.
Oh boy, I love that. Okay. So let's talk about the before unit now. And the best way to think about it is to think about it. And the reason that I separate them into the 3 divisions like that is I think about them as individual units of your business, right? So the whole purpose of your during unit is to provide that in the office experience and giving people the actual care that they need. The after unit, if you take it once, it's for managing the relationship with people who are not coming back as frequently as the people who are in the during unit, right? People in the during unit, you're seeing them the most. So we focus on that as one of the things. But who's responsible? And it can be you wearing all the hats, but you start to think about it as if you were only responsible in the after unit for nurturing lifetime relationships and driving that return on relationship metric. That's the accountability of it. In the before unit, we want to think about the before unit as a supplier to the during unit. Meaning you think about it as a separate thing, a separate business that's in the business of finding people who have headaches, back pain, posture issues, neck pain, whatever the specific target markets are for the people that you can best serve in the during unit, and delivering them to the during unit for a price that you would cheerfully pay for a new client.
Right.
As if it were a vending machine. If we could create a vending machine and say, bring me 10 new back pain people here, what would you cheerfully pay to have a new client, right? And so in a lot of ways, when the business is sort of organically bringing you people, where we often get spoiled is not, it doesn't even dawn on you to have in the big pie chart of the distribution of the total revenue that somebody brings in a portion for acquisition.
Right. And this is where I have no game. Yeah, I have no strategy here. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so you don't budget for it in a way. Is there, I don't know how chiropractors work, but among each other, if somebody was to refer somebody to you, would you pay another chiropractor a referral fee, or is there anything is there any kind of context for what I'm talking about, you paying for a new patient?
Between doctor to doctor, there's no prohibitory rules as far as I'm aware, so that's something that can certainly take place. I do receive a lot of referrals from other doctors, whether it's, people that I like in my network, or just, patient is moving to Toronto, they know who I am, they recommend them to come to me. But there is no, I don't have a formal, I don't even know what, there wouldn't, some sort of reimbursement or a portion.
Anything.
Yeah, I don't have anything like that in place. And as far as I'm aware, I'd have to double check, but I don't think that there's any prohibitory
well, the only reason that I ask
that.
Yeah. The only reason I ask that is that sometimes it's easier to wrap your mind around if there's already an existing policy for that, or an existing protocol for it. Like among real estate agents, if a realtor refers a client to another realtor in another town, that they would get a 25% referral fee, right, for that client. And for some people, that they would happily pay that. A lot of relocation companies have this same thing, or most of the hotel business works this way through online travel places like hotels.com or Priceline or whatever, that they pay a fee to Priceline or hotels.com to book hotel rooms for them, right? So they get of 100% of the hotel room fee, they may take a third of it, or whatever the standard percentage is. So
maybe this feeds into lifetime value of the client as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's that if you just knew, if you could buy a patient, if there were such a service provider available, a supplier, that you could just say, hey, send me over 10 new neck pain patients this week.
Mm-hmm.
How much would you cheerfully pay for them? Knowing that you've got a 91% conversion program, that when 91% of them are going to come in. So you've got your game is really strong. If somebody comes to you with actual neck pain, you're going to be able to help them,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think if we even, and maybe you can help me figure what that exactly what that number is. If we think about an average patient in this office spends between, and this is the mean, we're talking about around $5,000. So over the course of their, 6 months or whatever it is with us, or I guess that'd be 9 months with us. So is it a 10% of that? Is it a 25% like you were giving the example in real estate?
What is it now? What is it now? This is the other thing, is that often, are you spending any money in any way to provide that function right now? Okay.
Yeah,
so you're not, and that's okay. Do you have a list of prospects that are, you're not doing any kind of organic lead generation, or is there anything on your website that people opt in for prior to becoming a client?
I was just actually talking to somebody in automation this weekend. I have a lead magnet that is on the front page. It's a little ebook or cheat sheet kind of thing on pain relief. But it is disconnected. So it's linked up to my active campaign or whatever. And then the other, I guess, pool of prospects, if you will, is but these are not local, mind you. But certainly there's something to be said. Maybe it's a separate conversation around virtual consulting and stuff. But through my writing, my online writing, with zero ad spend, I will just throw that in there. I've built up a list of about 35,000 people. So there's kind of a list that I have of people who really enjoy the work that I'm putting out there. And then I also have the lead magnet on the clinic's website, but I don't do anything with it. So I
Right.
realized I was talking to this guy over the weekend, and he was like, well, you have to think about like the journey of the client, and if they have this, this lead magnet, like how can you, bring them from, if we think about Taki, he talks about like how do you like Taki more, how do you bring them from like a red light to a green light? Like how do you kind of cold lead to sort of slowly warming them up and to the point where they're ready to like raise their hand?
Yeah.
So the short answer is I don't have any game, but I do have pools. Like I have sort of like a very rudimentary, like I have a lead magnet on the clinic website, and then I have a bigger pool of like a bigger list on in my online platform.
So some of those people, some of the people on that list would be local people with the potential to become a client, especially the ones who downloaded from the clinic website. And some of those people would be just people who are interested in that topic generally, that are geographically not candidates for you. Okay. And so what the original thing that we ended up, we decided this would be a good idea to come on the podcast and talk about was where you are located. You're surrounded by how many people did you say live in the condos and townhouses right around your?
Yeah, they're in the middle of a huge condo boom, like literally down the street from me. So I think there's going to be like 2,000 units, something like that, going up within walking distance of the clinic over the next. Like they're already, they've already, like some of them are already completed, and then there's like other, ones that are going. So there is there is going to be a surge in like numbers in this in this area, but we already are like it's already a relatively dense area as well. So
and so you had talked about the potential of doing some postcards in
like a mailer. That's what I was like going old school.
Exactly. And we may also be able to reach that same objective with some micro targeted Facebook ads that can get. I've been doing a lot of that here, and I've just had a session last night. We had our little innovation session with my Facebook team, and we had figured out a new way of defining micro targets that is almost like a little loophole, which is fantastic. I'm going to talk to Nicholas about it to see I don't know whether he's thought of this as a way of micro targeting as well, but I was pretty excited about it, and it may fit for you right around your thing. But the most important thing is if you were to do some sort of awareness videos around the types of things that you're able to help people with, and doing it from your clinic, from there, and even from the outside of it, if you're in the surrounding area, like you have this spatial awareness. We're all built within it, right? So if somebody saw you doing a video that was in, sitting somewhere that's outside, right in the neighborhood where they live, they're going to go, oh, that's right. I know where that is. That's right outside the street from me, right? So that awareness of what that is, and then going into, so that people know where your clinic is, so that they're like, wow, I'm going to go check that out because it's literally right underneath me here, or less than a few hundred paces away from me. Which that's one of the benefits that you have from being so densely populated where people are.
I love it. It's brilliant.
Mm-hmm. And so I would think, and of course we have the unaddressed ad mail opportunity, being in Canada, to deliver postcards for very little money right to just those specific buildings is a pretty big opportunity, and that's cool too. Mm-hmm. But we just have to figure out, and all of these tools are going to be useful for all of the things that we talk about. Like having, what would be the thing that you would have for, like if you think about what's the headache kit, and what's the neck pain kit, and what's the back pain kit, that if somebody's got those, what is the thing that people are going to go, oh, I want that, or give me that, And that way it's going to have value both as a referral magnet and as a lead magnet on the front. That's part of the before unit.
Yeah.
And that's how we think of it, that I think there's just so much potential there. But I would definitely start with, it's almost like I look at, especially with a business like yours, and I would call that, because it's a during, you've really got the during unit experience down. You've really got an active and ongoing business. You're not in startup mode. That shoring up the opportunities within the during unit and the after unit would be the first things that I would do, because it may get to a point where we never even need to go to the before unit,
Right, and I love the idea of systemizing the as those people in the during unit move to the after unit, they can replace themselves. They can, replace, with a referral, they can replace somebody to go into the during unit. And then there's also the maintenance of them in the after unit. So that's also velocity growth.
Yeah, that's the whole point. That's the strategic objective, right? That if we're starting to pay attention and we say, okay, 91% of the people that go through the initial 3-month care program will convert to an aftercare program, and 56% of the people who go through refer somebody before the transaction's over.
Yeah, that's really, really, really good. I love that to be able to track that data, because that also tells you where your pain points are too. And again, for transparency, I also don't know where people fall off. Like I have I have people that are in their like 5th round of that kind of 6-month protocol, and I have people for they do 1 or they do 2 and they drop off, but I don't know why. And I don't have like a clear pattern there. So that's something that I'm going to start tracking as well. And that'll give me some better data too about the clinic. Yeah.
Yeah. But this is good. I mean, I love it. I really enjoyed this conversation and going deep.
Me too. I can't wait to report back to you to tell you how it's been changing too.
Yes. I can't wait either. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to see you in a few weeks, so I'm very excited about that. I'm going to see you in a few weeks
at Archangel. Yes, I'm really excited to be seeing you. And I just saw your post about about your special group, so I'm really excited to see you and all the brilliance and genius that you are.
Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you. Okay. Well, I want to. Normally, I say we've said it all, but we haven't even begun. Really, we've said the beginning of the stuff. You've got so much. That was a good intro session here. We could do a whole podcast series just on this.
I love it.
But there you go. I think we got a good jumping off point for you. And I'm always happy to talk more with you. I love you guys.
Well, we can make it a recurring series if it works for you. I'm happy to come back on and kind of report on what worked, what didn't work for me, and then we can also mastermind on other things too. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Thank you so much, Dean.
All right. And give Gio a big hug for me, and I will see you guys in a few weeks.
All right, Dean. Have the best day. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
And there we have it. Another great episode. Thanks for listening in. If you want to continue the conversation, we'll go deeper in how the 8 profit activators can apply to your business. 2 things you can do. Right now, you can go to morecheeselesswhiskers.com and you can download a copy of the More Cheese Less Whiskers book, and you can listen to the back episodes, of course, if you're just listening here on iTunes. Secondly, the thing that we talk about in applying all of the 8 profit activators are part of the breakthrough DNA process. And you can download a book and a scorecard and watch a video all about the 8 profit activators at breakthroughdna.com. And that's a great place to start the journey in applying this scientific approach to growing your business. That's really the way we think about Breakthrough DNA, as an operating system that you can overlay on your existing business and immediately look for insights there. So that's it for this week. Have a great week, and we will be back next time with another episode of More Cheese, Less Whiskers.